Payton, FYI, Drew Brees just broke your record.
Which one?
All-time passing yards.
Passing yards? Oh, okay. So I still have the touchdown record, right?
He's actually on pace to break that too.
What?
There will never be another Drew Brees. Picture this. It's 2006. A barely 6-foot-tall quarterback with a destroyed throwing shoulder joins the New Orleans Saints after the Miami Dolphins told him he'd never play again. His labrum torn 360 degrees, his rotator cuff shredded, his career dead at 27 years old. Then he brings the city back from the dead after Hurricane Katrina, beats Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl as the shortest starting quarterback in the NFL, shatters NFL passing records, 7 touchdowns in one game, completes nearly 75% of his passes for an entire season. But here's the thing, the Miami Dolphins rejected him, called him damaged goods, too risky, not worth the investment. That decision changed NFL history forever. There will never be another Drew Brees. Chapter 1. The Rise of the Underdog. January 15th, 1979, Austin, Texas. Drew Christopher Brees entered a world that would tell him no his entire life. His parents, Mina and Eugene Brees, divorced when he was just 7 years old, leaving young Drew searching for stability in a fractured home. Sports became his refuge, his sanctuary, his purpose. At Westlake High School in Austin, Drew became a legend.
Drew Brees, Drew Brees, Drew Brees, Drew Brees.
He led the Chaparrals to a 16-0 record and the 1996 Texas 5A state championship, the school's first football title in school history. Drew threw for 3,529 yards and 31 touchdowns his senior year. He was named Texas High School 5A Most Valuable Offensive Player. The Texas High School Coaches Association named him their Offensive Player of the Year. But here's what nobody talks about. College scouts didn't believe in him. At nearly 6 feet and 186 pounds, Drew was too short, too light, not the prototype. Kentucky offered him a partial scholarship, not even a full ride. Stanford wasn't interested, Texas wasn't interested, the big programs passed. Except one. Purdue University took a chance on this undersized quarterback from Texas, and Drew Brees would repay that faith beyond anyone's wildest imagination. He arrived at Purdue in 1997, saw limited action as a freshman, and then took over the starting job in 1998. When he finally took the field in 1998, he threw for 3,983 yards and 39 touchdowns, leading Purdue to a breakout 9-4 season and contention near the top of the Big Ten. His 39 touchdown passes set a Big Ten single-season record. As a junior in 1999, Drew threw for 3,909 yards and 25 touchdowns, finishing 4th in Heisman Trophy voting. Then came his senior year in 2000, the year Drew Brees became immortal in college football. Drew threw for 3,668 yards and 26 touchdowns, leading Purdue to the Big Ten championship and the Rose Bowl, the program's first Rose Bowl appearance in 34 years. He finished 3rd in Heisman voting behind Chris Winkie and Josh Heupel. He won the Maxwell Award as college football's best all-around player. He was named Academic All-American of the Year, with about a 3.4 GPA in industrial management. Drew left Purdue holding Big Ten records for career passing yards, 11,792, completions, 1,026, and touchdown passes, 90. He was the most prolific passer in Big Ten history, and NFL scouts still didn't believe. The 2001 NFL Draft arrived. Michael Vick went first overall to Atlanta. Drew waited. LaDainian Tomlinson went 5th. Drew waited. Santana Moss, Corin Robinson, all drafted ahead of Drew. The first round ended without his name called. The second round began. Finally, with the 32nd pick in the second round, the first pick of Day 2, the San Diego Chargers selected Drew Brees.
With the first selection in the second round, number 32 overall, The San Diego Chargers have selected quarterback from Purdue, Drew Brees.
The doubters were everywhere. Drew Brees would prove every single one of them wrong. Chapter 2. San Diego struggled to break through. Drew's rookie season in 2001 was a disaster. He started one game, completing just 15 of 27 passes for 221 yards with one touchdown and no interceptions. The Chargers went 5-11. Doug Flutie was the starter. Drew was the afterthought. In 2002, Drew started 16 games and threw for 3,284 yards with 17 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Decent numbers, but the Chargers went 8-8. The team was stuck in mediocrity. Management wasn't convinced Drew was the answer. Then the San Diego Chargers made the most catastrophic decision in franchise history. In the 2004 NFL Draft, the Chargers selected Eli Manning with the first overall pick. Manning refused to play for San Diego, forcing a draft day trade with the New York Giants for Phillip Rivers, the fourth overall pick. The Chargers had just drafted Drew's replacement, but Drew didn't fold. He exploded. The 2004 season became Drew's statement year. He threw for 3,159 yards and 27 touchdowns with just 7 interceptions, posting a 104.8 passer rating that ranked third in the NFL. He led the Chargers to a 12-4 record and the AFC West title. Drew earned his first Pro Bowl selection and was named NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Drew Brees had arrived, but just when everything seemed perfect, tragedy struck. December 31st, 2005, the final game of the regular season against the Denver Broncos. Drew dropped back to pass, was hit, and landed on his right shoulder. The pain was immediate, searing, devastating. The diagnosis came back like a death sentence. Drew had suffered a 360-degree labrum tear, a torn rotator cuff, and significant damage to his throwing shoulder. Multiple surgeons told Drew the same thing. His career was over. He would never play quarterback again. At just 27 years old, Drew Brees was finished. The San Diego Chargers agreed. They declined to offer Drew a long-term contract. They had Phillip Rivers waiting. Drew was damaged goods. Then came the Miami Dolphins, and the decision that changed NFL history forever. Miami head coach Nick Saban and the Dolphins' medical staff evaluated Drew's shoulder. Their team doctor, Dr. Dan Cannell, examined the injury and told management Drew's shoulder would never be the same. The risk was too high. The Dolphins passed on Drew Brees and instead signed Dante Culpepper, who was coming off his own devastating knee injury. It was the worst personnel decision in Miami Dolphins franchise history, and it was about to become the greatest gift the New Orleans Saints ever received. Chapter 3. New Orleans and Redemption. March 14, 2006. The New Orleans Saints signed Drew Brees to a 6-year, $60 million contract with about $20 million guaranteed. Most people thought it was insanity. Drew's shoulder was destroyed. The Saints were coming off a 3-13 season, and oh yeah, Hurricane Katrina had just devastated New Orleans about 6 months earlier, leaving the city in ruins and the Superdome uninhabitable. Drew Brees was joining a team that had no home, a broken city, and zero hope. But Drew didn't see obstacles. He saw destiny. Drew arrived in New Orleans in 2006 and immediately fell in love with the city. He saw the pain, the suffering, the determination to rebuild. Drew made New Orleans his home, not just professionally, but personally. He bought a house in the uptown neighborhood. He walked the streets. He met the people. He became one of them. And then he went to work. The 2006 season was magical. Drew threw for 4,418 yards and 26 touchdowns, leading the Saints to a 10-6 record and the NFC Championship game, their first playoff appearance since 2000. The Superdome reopened on September 25, 2006, with a Monday Night Football game against the Atlanta Falcons. Drew threw for 190 yards in a 23-3 victory. The blocked punt returned for a touchdown by Steve Gleason became the defining image of New Orleans' resurrection. Drew was no longer just a quarterback. He was a symbol of hope, a savior for a city that desperately needed one. From 2006 to 2012, Drew recorded 7 consecutive seasons with at least 4,300 passing yards, an NFL record. In 2008, Drew threw for 5,069 yards, becoming just the second quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 5,000 yards in a single season. In 2011, he threw for 5,476 yards, breaking Dan Marino's single-season passing yardage record that had stood for 27 years. But individual records weren't enough. Drew wanted the only thing that mattered, a Super Bowl championship. Chapter 4: Super Bowl Glory and Perfection. The 2009 season was destiny. The Saints started 13-0 before finishing 13-3 and earning the NFC's top seed. Drew threw for 4,388 yards and 34 touchdowns with just 11 interceptions. New Orleans was on a collision course with greatness. In the NFC Championship game, the Saints defeated Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings 31-28 in overtime, winning the franchise's first-ever conference championship. Drew completed 17 of 31 passes for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. New Orleans was going to the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history. February 7, 2010, Super Bowl 44, Miami, Florida. The New Orleans Saints versus the Indianapolis Colts. Drew Brees versus Peyton Manning, the greatest quarterback showdown in Super Bowl history. And Drew Brees, the barely 6-foot quarterback everyone said was too short, was about to prove everyone wrong on the biggest stage in sports. The Colts jumped out to a 10-0 lead and took a 10-6 lead into halftime. To start the second half, Sean Payton called one of the gutsiest plays in Super Bowl history, an onside kick that the Saints recovered. From there, Drew went to work. He completed 32 of 39 passes for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns, posting an 82.1 completion percentage. His 32 completions tied a Super Bowl record. With just under 6 minutes left in the game and the Saints clinging to a 24-17 lead, Drew led a methodical 9-play, 59-yard drive that ended with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Jeremy Shockey. Final score: Saints 31, Colts 17. Drew Brees was named Super Bowl MVP. He had beaten Peyton Manning, the greatest statistical quarterback of that generation. He had delivered a championship to a city that had suffered unimaginable tragedy just 5 years earlier. He had proven that a nearly 6-foot quarterback with a destroyed shoulder could reach the pinnacle of the sport. There will never be another Drew Brees. But Drew wasn't done making history. What came next was statistical perfection that may never be matched. Act 5: Shattering every record imaginable. The 2011 season was the greatest passing season in NFL history. Drew threw for 5,476 yards, breaking Dan Marino's 27-year-old record. He threw 46 touchdowns. He completed 468 passes. He averaged 342.9 yards per game. The Saints went 13-3, but it was 2018 that gave us Drew's "holy shit, are you kidding me" moment. At 39 years old, Drew Brees completed 74.4% of his passes, setting an NFL single-season record for completion percentage. Think about that. 3 out of every 4 passes Drew threw were caught. For an entire season, nobody had ever done that. Nobody. Then came November 1st, 2015. One of the most ridiculous single-game performances in NFL history. Against the New York Giants, Drew threw for 505 yards and 7 touchdowns, tying the NFL record for touchdown passes in a single game. 7 touchdowns in one game at 36 years old. Then came the moment that cemented Drew's legacy forever. October 8, 2018, Monday Night Football. Drew Brees versus the Washington Commanders. Drew needed 201 yards to break Peyton Manning's all-time passing yardage record of 71,940 yards. Late in the third quarter, Drew dropped back and threw a 62-yard touchdown pass to Traquan Smith, his 500th career touchdown pass. In that single moment, Drew became just the third quarterback in NFL history to reach 500 career touchdown passes, joining Brett Favre and Peyton Manning. And with that same throw, Drew Brees surpassed Peyton Manning to become the NFL's all-time leader in career passing yards.
The star quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees.
He has become the NFL's all-time passing leader. It happened Monday night. He threw for an astounding 72,103 yards in his career, and it's far from over.
A record that stood until Tom Brady passed him in 2021. He finished his career with 80,358 passing yards. Here's what makes Drew Brees the GOAT. As of his retirement, he rewrote the passing record book in the NFL. Most career passing yards, 80,358. Most career completions, 7,142. Most consecutive games with a touchdown pass, 54 games. Most seasons with 5,000-plus passing yards, 5. Nobody else has more than 1. Only quarterback to throw for 5,000-plus yards in consecutive seasons, 2011 to 2012. Single season record for completion percentage, 74.4%. 2018, single season record for passing yards, 5,476. His 5,476 yards in 2011 were an NFL record at the time and remain one of the greatest seasons ever. Only quarterback to complete 70% or more of his passes in 7 different seasons. No one else has done it more than once. Only quarterback to lead the NFL in passing yards 7 times. 13 Pro Bowl selections. NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 2008, 2011. NFL Comeback Player of the Year, 2004. Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, 2010. Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, 2006. And Super Bowl 44 MVP. Drew Brees is one of only 4 quarterbacks in NFL history to defeat all 32 NFL teams. Every single franchise. He beat them all. Act 6, the final chapter, and retirement. But even legends age. Even the greatest eventually slow down. The 2019 season saw a thumb injury that cost Drew 5 games, the most he'd ever missed in a single season. In 2020, Drew suffered multiple rib fractures and a collapsed lung against the San Francisco 49ers. He was 41 years old. His body was breaking down. The Saints made the playoffs in 2020 but lost to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the divisional round. Drew completed 19 of 34 passes for 134 yards and 3 interceptions, one of the worst playoff performances of his career. It was a heartbreaking end to an otherwise perfect story. On March 14, 2021, exactly 15 years after he signed with the Saints, Drew Brees announced his retirement from the NFL. He left the game on his own terms as the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards and completions, now second all-time. He had played 20 NFL seasons. He had thrown 571 touchdown passes. He had won 1 Super Bowl and delivered a miracle to a broken city. Drew is eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2026, and there's absolutely no question he'll be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. With his record-breaking career, Super Bowl MVP, and unmatched statistical dominance, Drew Brees is a shoo-in for Canton. His bronze bust will soon sit forever in the Hall of Fame, immortalized as one of the greatest to ever play the position. But Drew's legacy extends far beyond football. Through the Brees Dream Foundation, Drew and his wife Brittany donated over $50 million to charitable causes, helping rebuild schools, playgrounds, and athletic facilities across New Orleans and beyond. Drew became synonymous with the city's recovery and renaissance after Hurricane Katrina. There will never be another Drew Brees. Too short, too damaged, too risky. They said he'd never play again. The Miami Dolphins rejected him. The San Diego Chargers gave up on him. They all underestimated the kid from Austin with the torn shoulder and the unbreakable will. He brought a city back from death. beat Peyton Manning as a nearly 6-foot quarterback, shattered the record books, 7 touchdowns in one game, 74.4% completions for an entire season, one of only 4 quarterbacks to beat all 32 teams. From second-round afterthought to Super Bowl champion to future first-ballot Hall of Famer, there will never be another Drew Brees. Never.
If this story gave you chills, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. Drop a comment telling us which NFL legend we should cover next. From rejected to immortal, that's the End Zone Exposed difference. End Zone Exposed is where the truth always scores.